Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. Welcome to Friday. It is Friday, May 9th. Hope you guys had a wonderful week. YouTube is a little bit slow this morning, notifying everybody that live has started, but I'm actually here. I can tell in the little box up in the corner, it'll tell me how many people were notified or how many people are hopped on. And sometimes YouTube is extremely slow with letting people know that live is starting. So, all that said, hope you guys had a good week. I hope you guys had a good week of training. Massive Iron Live is the longest running lifting podcast Q&A in the history of the universe. And that's my claim, and I'll stick to it. Why not, right? We can just make anything up. It's the internet. Before I get started, just a couple of things. Number one, if your questions don't go through, try shortening them. Sometimes longer questions don't go through the system. YouTube cuts them off, or my software cuts them off. So if your comment doesn't go through, try shortening them. If it doesn't go through after that, maybe you need to change your naughty words and the nice words. Sometimes YouTube will filter certain words. Occasionally I'll get people saying, why didn't my comment go through? I have no idea. I really don't. YouTube is kind of glitchy sometimes, so try rewording things. Finally, before I get moving, a couple of quick things. I do have a couple of communities. We have a Team Massive on Discord. You can find the link on yesterday's video in the description box. Or if you don't want to do that and you just want to connect with me on Instagram, you can come over to Instagram, DM me, and I'll send you the link to the community. I also have a Facebook community for men over 30. It is called Massive Over 30. You can check that out on Facebook. If you're not sure, again, hit me up on Instagram and I'll send you the DM. All right, let me remove that. So really quickly, two of my major services, I am extending the $6.99 coaching yearly special. If you're interested in that, go over here and click the coaching tab. There is the $6.99 yearly special. I'm going to extend that through Sunday. I had a really good response last week. Had a number of people take advantage of that, and I had an extremely busy week, and for that I am grateful. And because of that, I am going to extend it another week just so I can get caught up a little bit. This goes for existing clients or new clients. If you're interested in saving money on coaching, you can get an entire year of coaching for $6.99. Again, just click the coaching tab. I also offer a custom workout design, which is probably my most popular service. It is only $39. I keep that extremely reasonable. You can check that out over here. Just go to my website, go to the search tab and search custom. I'm going to build you a workout from the ground up based on your equipment, your injury history, your exercise preferences, your goals, etc. And I'm also going to give you bulking and cutting information. So check that out as well. All right. Let me remove this stuff from the thing, and then we can get started with the thing. All right. So here we go. You know, I'm going to say, I was thinking about doing something on Team Massive, and I want your guys' opinion on this. And this is regarding me. Yesterday, I had a client, Martin, who said I should start doing vlogs and information on my training and nutrition on YouTube. And I will never do that because it would crash the YouTube. No one tunes in to see me. But what I was thinking would be fun would be for you guys to train me. Okay. That I thought this might be a fun little thing. I've never done this before. So what I was thinking is basically what we could do is each phase of training, have you guys train me. I'm basically at the point of my training where I'm never going to get, I'm not trying to get any stronger or any bigger than I am now. But I do need some accountability to continue my journey, don't we all? So I thought it would be fun if you guys could train me. If every quarter we decide what type of program I'm going to use, I follow through on the program for a couple months, and then we kind of see how things are going, and we vote in a new program. So if you guys are interested in something like that, let me know. We could run that over on Team Massive. All right, let's dive into things. Enough babbling. Joe, Big Joe B, good morning, Team Massive. Good morning, Joe. I hope everything is going good with you. Big Jimmy. Morning, Coach. Going for max safe reps, if that means 135 by 9 or 200 by 4, is there a difference with what is taking place physiologically or muscle building? Well, generally not in the long run. We have to take a long run view of things. In the long run, the rep ranges are going to vary. Let's take a lift like the bench press, right? Over the course of 10 years, if you're working on your bench press, you're never going to have the same rep range day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out. They're always going to be in flux, right? Your rep ranges are always going to be in flux. So taking the long view, it's more about the consistent hard training over time rather than one specific rep range during one specific workout, if that makes sense. So it's more of the mentality of hard training. I'm going to go in and train hard. I'm going to progressively overload. I'm going to try to get the most I can out of my sets, and rep ranges don't matter. Now, we kind of can take something like this and we can overanalyze it and say, well, I'm only going to use 4 reps. No one's going to use 4 rep range only over a 10-year journey of building their bench and building hypertrophy. If they did, it would not be a smart way to go. Does that make sense? So rep ranges will always vary within what I call the reasonable ranges. But we don't need to get caught up in the weeds. You know, you might do 7 or 8 reps at 2. Let's say you do 7 reps at 195 and you try to progress, add weight 5 pounds. Next week, you only do 200 by 4. It's just a micro fluctuation in a long journey. Does that make sense? So don't try to get in the weeds and overanalyze this stuff. It's the big picture, right? It's the progressive overload over time. It's the effort, the focus on a hard training, nailing your nutrition. And if you have that in place, you have to take that as a big picture view and not try to analyze something on a level that is approaching the ridiculous, so to speak. So I hope that helps. Big Jeff, how's it going, Jeff? Good to have you here. Good morning. And Big Ernie P, thanks for tuning in, Ernie. I appreciate you guys joining in. Shelly is here. A lot of clients here today. Thank you, Shelly. Happy Mother's Day to all the muscle mamas out there. You know, Shelly is a seasoned lifter, just like myself. And Shelly does amazing work. When I'm working with someone, I don't look at their age. I don't look at their, we're not concerned with, perceived limitations. We meet everybody where they're at. They push them as hard as they can stand. not crazy, but you know what I mean. Happy Mother's Day to all the women out there that are absolutely giving it the right way when it comes to muscle building. And there's a lot. I mean, general fitness is great. And movement is movement, and I applaud anybody that's out there moving. But this is a muscle building, strength building channel, and much applause to all the women out there getting after it in the massive iron type of way. Rico, good morning. What's the word, Rico? What is the word? I put together a video concept for next week. Basically, let me pull it up real quick. You guys won't be able to see it, but the word is, I had a video idea this morning, basically for those of you that aren't getting any results, and it's how to reset your training. So I'm looking at doing a video like that really early next week. I'll probably record it this weekend if I have time during Mother's Day. So that's the word for me this morning. Always trying to think of video topics. I think I have more video topics rattling around in my head than I actually have time to do them. So Big Lee is doing lower arms first on an upper lower arms. Okay. Big Steve is doing lower arms first on an upper lower arms first on an upper A. I'm getting in the weeds here. I'm trying to sort this out. My dogs are making noise upstairs. My wife just got home. Is doing lower arms first on an upper lower arms split. On an upper, a good idea so I can get the weekend. I'm kind of lost here. What am I missing? Lower arms first. So are you doing all that in one day? Lower, upper, lower arms? I really don't understand. I mean, you're going to have to clarify. I apologize. I don't know if you're doing that all in one day, if you're rotating. The only thing you don't want to do is work your arms the day before an upper day. You want your upper body to recover. So maybe you can clarify, Lee, and I'm sorry if I'm being an idiot. I just got a little bit lost on that one. I want to make sure I can understand it correctly. Big Jeff. When doing leg press, do you recommend your knees to track some? Yeah, absolutely. Similarly to squat angle. When you are pressing up, you want the angle, like the angle of your thigh, okay, from your hip to your knee, to be about the angle of your feet. So when you're pressing up, you want to put your feet naturally on the pad, right? So when your feet are naturally on the pad, if your feet are going to be straight forward, your knees would have to be straight forward to meet that angle. This is going to reduce the stress on the knees and the hips. I'm not telling you to put your feet straight forward. I'm telling you that whatever angle your feet are on the pad, you basically want your knees to naturally follow that angle, or the angle of your thighs to naturally follow that angle. And they should naturally. If your knees knock in and the angle of your feet are like naturally out like this and your knees are doing this, you're going to put stress on your knees, you're going to put stress on your hip, and likely pick up maybe some stress on your lower back as well. So yes, you want things to feel natural, but if the knees are way out of the angle of the feet, or the knees are inside the angle of the feet, you really need to make some adjustments. Some people, because of the way they're built, they might set up with this duck stance, right, where your feet are way out on the leg press. And then when you press, your knees are kind of inside of that. So we might have to have a little bit of give and take on that. But yes, in general, that is what you want to do. Big Lee. Any Coach Greg stories? I recently worked out and I heard him say harder than last time, more times than a woman has said I love you to me. Right. The only Coach Greg story I really have is he approached me once via DM asking me if I wanted to be an affiliate for his supplement company. And this isn't a dig on Greg, but he had no idea who I was really, or that I had a YouTube channel, which is fair, right? Oh boy, that one's a kick in the nuts. But there's a lot of people with YouTube channels, but I did have him approach me once via DM on YouTube and ask if I wanted to be an affiliate for his supplement brand. And curiously enough, this was after making several snide, snarky comments about testosterone. So I found that rather interesting. I did ask him, is this really Greg, or is this, one of his employees? Because I assume he has people that do some of his social media work for him. And he said it was him. So I don't know if that's true or not, but no, I did not supplement for Greg harder than last time. That's really my only Coach Greg story. Also, hot take: bulking is horrible, especially if you're English. We hate food, and eating more than usual is an English man's idea of hell. We're not a cooking heavy nation or a food loving one. Well, I will tell you, I don't know anything about English culture other than what my clients and folks on Team Massive tell me. That may or may not be true to, for the most part, but I gotta tell you, man, there's only the process and following the process, and everything other than that leads to futility. All right, let me get a drink. We got a pink today. We got a pink Monster. I have one purple left. It's in my fridge. They had a 4 for $8 special at Speedway, which is a local gas station, and I gravitate towards purple, but they didn't have any purple, so we had to go with pink today. All right, where are we at? Keep the questions coming, guys. I want you to understand that even if a question's been answered 1,000 times, I don't want you to feel like you can't ask it. I'm here to help, so keep things rolling. Anything diet, training, nutrition, even tastefully constructed off topic is reasonable. Ironing my massive as we speak. Ironing my massive. We'll just put that up in air quotes. Ryan, how's it going, Ryan? Ryan Underwood, what's up, Massive Game, Steve? Gang, Steve, hope y'all are doing good today. I'm just stumbling through my words. Doing good. We are getting ready for Mother's Day weekend. We have an Appalachian Festival, and we're thinking about hitting that up. We will see. Big David, how's it going, David? YouTube filters. Yeah, YouTube filters can be I think they're a lot better than they used to be. It used to be on YouTube where I would get so many complaints with people saying their questions weren't going through. And it would be shocking, actually, the number of complaints I got. I don't think I've gotten a complaint in about a year, which is really, really surprising. But I'm still paranoid about them. That's for sure. Big Paul, how's it going, Paul? Thanks for tuning in. Good to have you here. Alexander, your channel inspired my journey. I'm glad to hear that. And anytime you guys want to share stories of your journey, I'd be happy to read them on Massive Iron Live. I will tell you also, if any of you guys ever want to have me do a form check live of any of your form videos, squats, deadlifts, whatever, as long as it's not a shaky camera, I'd be happy to do that during live. You just have to send me a video link. You could say, hey, I sent you a video link on Instagram. On Instagram, I can pull it up here. You could email it to me, benthebarman@gmail.com, and say, hey, I sent you email. I'd be able to pull that up. So if any of you guys ever want to be publicly critiqued, go right ahead. If any of you guys ever want me to look at your physique live, that would be terrifying, right? Live on Massive Iron Live, looking at your body composition or muscularity or whether you should bulk or cut. You can send those links to me via email, benthebarman@gmail.com, or via Instagram. Just let me know, drop a comment, and I can pull it up, and we can hit it up here on live. Big Paul. If I'm unconcerned with aesthetics, within reason, so Paul's meaning he's not trying to be Ziz or whatever his name is. He just wants to look good and build muscle and not get too sloppy. And just want to bring up the big four. Should I abandon the isolation work? No, I would not do that. I don't think minimalistic training is the best way to go. I mean, you're going to have a certain number of hours in the gym. So my concern is you're going to be overworking the same movement patterns. I'm not against, look, you do you in the gym, right? There isn't one magical way. And I'm not trying to steal your fun, but I think, if you are interested in bringing up the big four, inherently buried in that goal should be some reasonable variation. One of the best ways to get strong is attacking the body from head to toe, trying to get it as big and as strong as humanly possible. Strength builds strength. So building well-rounded strength is really what we want to do, right? We want to build well-rounded strength. Does this mean you need to have a ton of exercise variety? No. Does this mean you should consider having some exercise variety? Yes. On bench, maybe at least one other bench variation, having a couple of solid tricep exercises, definitely having at least one solid overhead press variation in the mix. Is that making sense? So when you start to flesh it out a little bit, if someone wants to be just kind of stick to a plan where they're bringing up the big four more than anything, let's just look at bench as an example. We don't have to overbake the variety, but we should be doing at least one other bench variation or one other bench protocol. It could be floor press, it could be Larson press, it could be close grip bench, it could be guillotine press. We probably should be doing one other bench variation or variation on the rep range we're working in. So maybe some form of A/B split when it comes to programming, protocol. We should probably also be doing like a dumbbell bench, not just as a good assistance exercise for the bench, but also as a, backup for hypertrophy. Beyond that, do you need to do like machine chest press or anything like that? No. But I would have in a couple of solid exercises for triceps on top of that. I would have in, obviously, the back. You want a strong back on the bench press. So I'd have a couple of good, solid back exercises. And then you want to have at least one biceps exercise. You don't want the biceps to get weak when you're trying to train for the bench. What I have found in the past was that when my biceps got weak on the bench, my eccentrics started to feel tediously slow, and I started to pick up strains and pains in and around the biceps area. So you have to have a reasonable degree of that shotgun approach. The same thing kind of goes for the deadlift. You can just do the deadlift, but you're also, if you want a stronger deadlift, you should be doing a couple of quad focused exercises per week, something for your yoke, really intense for your yoke, like power shrugs or, bulldozer shrugs or whatever. You should also be trying to get your back strong as well. So do you need to really flesh out the program? No. Do you need a reasonable approach? I would say, yeah. I mean, could you have a season where you did only super minimal work? Yeah, of course. If you want to do something like that, go right ahead. I mean, I've had seasons like that, but I'm speaking more bigger picture, if that makes sense, Big Paul. And thank you, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything. More than anything, I thank you guys for being part of a community. I consider myself, with the Massive Iron community, more of a facilitator, and I don't want it to be my community. I want it to be ours. And I appreciate each and every one of you that takes a part of that community. Starting now, fitness. Good morning, big, hairy, ugly guy. Thanks for tuning in. Rob Bohr. I almost said bar. Big, hairy, ugly dude. What's the fastest way to beach body training wise? You want a beach body. I mean, I was going to give generic advice, but let's not do that. So beach body, legs are kind of going to be highly individual when you're training for that body of the beach. So basically a beach body, a classic beach body would be a decent upper body, at least minimal leg development so you don't look like a stick bug, right? And then getting lean. So at minimum, you might want to do 2 uppers and a limbs workout during the week. What is a limbs workout? A limbs workout is a couple of leg exercises and then some arms. So you could do upper body, chest, back, shoulders, take a day off, do a limbs day, a couple of leg exercises and some extra arm work, and then do your third day, which would be a upper body and your second upper body of the week. If you want to train 4 days a week, you could probably do upper and then legs and periphery, like a couple of leg exercises, maybe even an additional exercise for biceps and triceps, and then go back and do your upper day. And then finally, you could add in a junk day on like a Saturday where you're adding in extra arm work and anything else that didn't fit in. So that's one really good approach I would use for a beach body. You could do Monday upper A, Wednesday limbs, legs to whatever degree. Friday, you could do upper B. And then Saturday, you could do junk with extra arm work and whatever extra stuff you wanted to do. And that's probably a reasonable approach for beach body training. I mean, there's many ways to do it, but if you're going to get into an upper posterior, that's going to be the type of plan that's going to be more based around, like squats and deadlifts and that sort of thing. If you like squats and deadlifts, I would do an upper posterior. But for the general beach body, workout, I'd do an upper, limbs, upper, and then maybe an extra junk day. And, if you're not a big back hog, you don't want to overwork the back. You just want the big chesticles and the big shoulders and the big arms. You could maybe do one back exercise on each of the upper and then maybe toss another one in on the junk. Many ways to slice and dice things. I'm going to skip ahead. So let's see. Bo says, I bought your DDP program. Wasn't quite what I had in mind. Yeah, I put out a lot of programs, but not everything is going to be a perfect fit for everybody. Bo also said, what would I have to do about buying a program from you? If you go to my website and you just go to the search tab at superlivingtoday.com, search custom. The custom workout is only $39. I keep it super, super reasonable. I will send you a list of questions, and I'll ask for your injury history, how many days a week you want to train, what your split preference is, where you train, what exercises you like to do, don't like to do. I'll build something from the ground up completely for you. And then afterwards, I give you access to my phone. You can do follow-up on phone or email, and that is only $39.99. I keep that at a pretty low cost. I do those every Saturday. This week is Mother's Day weekend, so I might do them on Sunday. But anybody that wants a custom workout can just go over here and search custom in the old search-a-rooski. All right, where are we? Let me scroll back up because I scrolled forward a little bit. There's Paul. Beach body. We did the beach body. All right. I'm only doing your rest pause training, and it's the best I've felt. I'm really glad to hear that. But progression will be much slower. I'm doing 7 sets per exercise. That's basically pretty much along the lines of escalating bulldozer. There's many ways you can progress on rest pause. You can use the first set as a progression indicator, or you can add up all the reps. And you don't have to do 7 sets. I'm just speaking to the general public here. You don't have to do 7 sets per exercise. You can do 4, you can do 5, whatever on the rest pause. But you can add up all the reps that you did for all the sets, and you can set a rep goal or a rep target and then kind of move up in weight. Don't worry so much about the rate of progression. Just the fact that you have your eyes on progression, and that you are attacking progression, trying to beat the logbook safely. But the big thing here is hard training with an eye on progression. Applied over time, you will be in a good place. Shelley Turner, how do you figure how many calories to add when bulking? Everybody's a little bit different. One of the questions I ask everybody just to kind of feel things out is, and this is not necessarily where we're going to start, but it's just a starting feeler question is, where do you think your maintenance level is? So if you came to me off the street and I said, where do you think your maintenance level is? And you gave me something that sounds pretty reasonable based on my experience, I would say, okay, what we're going to do if we're going to think about bulking, if it sounds reasonable, I'm going to say go about 200 calories above that just as a starting point. And we'll start there. We'll watch to see what happens. We'll weigh in at least twice a week. And we'll kind of make micro adjustments moving forward, like adjusting a plane a little bit in the air, adjusting its trajectory or its flight path a little bit. If I ask someone, where do you think your maintenance level is? And they give me something that's ridiculous, and that's not an insult. People are at different places, right? So they might not know what is reasonable. They don't have the experience I do with dealing with calories. So if they give me something that's a little bit crazy, like if a 32-year-old man says my maintenance level is 1700, I'm not going to insult him and say, dear kind sir, you are patently incorrect. I'm going to say, okay, let's try 2500 for 5 days. I want to put them in a position where the calories we're giving them sound reasonable, but that we can make adjustments. I mean, for real, if somebody said a man thinks their maintenance level is 1700, I would probably, just as a tester, because I don't want to scare them off, I would say, okay, let's try 2200 for a little bit and watch your weight and see what happens. So you have to work with the individual. And in that scenario, if someone thought their maintenance was way under, in my experience, what was normal, I'd start them a little bit higher than that, just to kind of let the numbers show them what is happening. I don't want to insult anybody. So in this scenario, if they were way under, I'd say, let's try 2200, see what happens. And then I would ask them for permission. Does this sound reasonable? And if they say yes, then we would run with it, and then we would adjust the flight pattern or trajectory from there. If they say, no, I think that's too much, then I'd meet them where they are at. Let's find out together. Does that sound fair? Yeah, absolutely. 2000. Okay, let's run with 2000, see what happens. So there are cases, in coaching, it's not just about math, it's about dealing with people. I run into the opposite a lot with women, where women think they can eat more than they can. And unfortunately, females are far more less forgiving when they're trying to do body recomposition, and that's just human physiology. So if I asked a woman where her maintenance level was and she said 2600, and I knew it was probably more like 18, 19, 2000, I would meet her on her grounds and say, okay, let's try 2300. Does that sound fair? And if the scale's going, immediately out of the gate, then we're going to dial things down. But I like to give them a degree of control so we can work on this together, build some trust. But I know this really wasn't your question specifically, Shelley, but how many calories do you add when bulking? That was really your question. The question is, if things are flatlined, we make the assumption that a small bump is going to maybe be a tipping point. So we only do small bumps. For women, it's probably going to be 100. If their calories are down, it's going to be generally 150 or 200. For women, it's generally going to be a 100-pound bump. For men, if it's flatline, generally a 200-pound bump. We don't want to get too aggressive. We want to kind of ease the plane into the right direction, if that makes sense. We're in a learning phase, and there's no rush. Rushing in a bulk can lead to a lot of, okay, I'm flatlined. All of a sudden, now I'm going up 4 or 5 pounds a month. I'm flatlined again. Too much wide variance. So We want to take off. We want to ramp up. We want to assess, and we want to make more nuanced adjustments, if that makes sense. Because if we're really intelligent with our changes and we're not overly aggressive, then it becomes easier moving forward to kind of know this is the lane we should be in. Does that make sense? All right, let me get a drink here. I'm on peak week, hit 240 bench, 340 squat, 165 overhead, and going to do a 435 deadlift. Yeah, I mean, I think a 435 is reasonable. Are you testing it right now? Is this your tester? Because what I would do is, since you hit a double with 405, I would use a 405 single as your last warm-up set. And if that felt extremely, extremely light, I'd let it rip and go for 435. The worst thing that can happen is the bar only comes a couple inches off the ground and you go kaput, right? Worst thing that could happen was that you almost get to lockout. You know, you're a couple pounds away from 435. So really no downside. Just be safe and smart and don't beat up that body. Manimal, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Big Bo. I wasted a lot of years chasing the pump. Which program is best for strength? There's no best program for strength at all. Strength building, one of the things I teach is there is no best program. There are variables, and you can check out my book, Massive Omnibus, or my original book, Massive Iron. There are pillars of success that we have to have in place. Everything is built from the ground up for you. The best approach for building strength is a well-rounded approach, trying to build as much strength and muscle from head to toe as humanly possible, using a quality selection of exercises, using a volume that fits with your schedule, using a progression approach that you enjoy for each exercise. It's not about a specific program. It's a bigger picture. Structure of programs don't matter. And as far as strength building, you could put 100 different people on 100 different programs and they would build strength equally. So it is really about coming up with a reasonable starting point and then adjusting variables based on what's happening in the gym, trying a few things. Like on the bench press, I have some different bench press programs. Someone will say, which one is better? All of them. Really, you want to use all of them over the course of a couple of years. Go in, try them out, see what's happening, give them reasonable time, a 3-4 month phase. And you're going to learn, hey, this did really well for my bench. Hey, I really like this type of approach. It's highly motivating, et cetera, et cetera. So strength is about having a reasonable starting point, about adjusting things based on needs with what's happening in the gym, and about trying things in reasonable phases. What do I mean? Well, let's say a new phase of bench press. You're going to enter a new phase of bench. You want to do something new. You don't know what that is. You're confused because you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, you could do that. You don't know what to do. Just pick something and run it for 3 or 4 months. I don't know what to do. Okay, do a complementary exercise like the Larson press. So we're going to do the bench. We're going to have day 1. Day 2, we're going to have the Larson press. Run it, give it some time, give it 3 months, let it run its course. If you're done with that, the next phase, I don't know what to do. Try something different. Try the 5, 10, 10, 20 bench press program. Try something different, but give it time and water it, let it grow, give it a chance to breathe. Let's see what happens. Don't just change programs, like every couple of weeks. The first 2 or 3 weeks of a program, the body is acclimating to the new demands of the program, right? So if you start a new program today, and let's say you hop on, you decide to do bench one day and Larson the next, you have to allow 2 to 3 weeks for your body to acclimate to the demands of the new program. And then from there, your body can start to perform better. So just be patient. There's no best. Try the ramp style for 3 months. After that, try the DDP for 3 months. Trying new things and introducing new variables is, in the long run, is going to be the best way to build strength, because you're gaining personal experience. You're trying new things, and some of these are going to be really beneficial, and some of them are going to be really mediocre, and you just don't know. It can be different seasons. Like in this season, ramp style training might give you impressive gains, and when you come back to it in a couple of years, it might not. So we have to just kind of constantly try new things, assess, be patient. Michael, I can only encourage everyone to book coaching with Steve. Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. Michael is an incredibly hard worker, and it's an honor whenever I get a chance to work with someone like Michael. Big Jimmy Worth of Cooksville. Under what conditions or costs would the mysterious Black come out of retirement? Good question. That's the off-topic question of the day. The mysterious Black was a professional wrestler around the year of 1999 that wrestled in the RWA, the Ringside Wrestling Alliance, which was basically around Indiana, Chicago, and Milwaukee, anywhere from Milwaukee to like Gary, Indiana. And it was a feeder organization for the WWE. And the Mysterious Black was a professional wrestler that was kind of molded in the same vein of Mick Foley or that kind of thing. He was the tri-state heavyweight champion over the tri-state area, Chicago, Milwaukee, Gary, Indiana. He was a tri-state heavyweight champion. In fact, he was supposed to wrestle in his last match King Kong Bundy. And King Kong Bundy was going to wrestle him and beat him and take the championship. And Bundy was going to enter as a tri-state heavyweight champion. Bundy did not make it to the venue. So instead, the Mysterious Black got beat up by little people dressed as Indians with hatchets that were smacking him in the old Kadusky, right? In the old nutsack. So if you guys are wondering what the heck I'm talking about, what I'm talking about was I was a Mysterious Black. I spent minimal time as a professional. I wouldn't even call it a professional wrestler. As a wrestler in the RWA, and I'm trying to find an image. And yeah, that's my story. I was the tri-state heavyweight champion. I was supposed to lose to King Kong Bundy. That would have been incredibly fun, but Bundy never showed up. And let's see, just give me one more second to find a picture here. I don't know why on Facebook, when you want to find a picture, oh, here we go. This is actually from a VHS tape that I have from 1999. I have it here. I just would love to digitize it so you could see that match. Let's see. Present, share screen. There you go. That's a Mysterious Black. And you can see him holding, that's me, holding the Tri-State Heavyweight Championship. You can see my fan raising his arm, the kid in the background, June 19th, 1999. On the mic with the Mick Foley face goatee thing, Sloppy Joe jean shorts. I got that big baseball. I had one of those big wiffle bat baseball bats, and I had like wrestling headgear. And that's my story. That's the Mysterious Black from Area 51. That's who I was in wrestling. Hey, any negativity to doing pretty hard stationary bar cardio? No. There's not going to be any downside. You know, it's not like you're going to lose gains. The body's not that fragile. Do what you like when it comes to activity. The only thing you don't want to do is do it before. So absolutely you can do it afterwards. And just take care of yourself. If you're going to do prolonged cardio after lifting, about 15 minutes before you are done with lifting, you probably want to take in something with salt, electrolytes, and maybe even a little bit of moderate carbs. Not a lot, just a little bit of fast digesting carbs. When your training, resistance training is done, you probably want to sit for 10 minutes and cool down. Just let the blood get back to your stomach, cool your body temperature, let your water, when you cool, you're going to allow the body to utilize the blood to digest rather than in the muscles. So if you're going to do back-to-back, a stacked type workout where you're doing resistance training and then cardio, you're probably best to have a little bit of sodium, a little bit of simple carbs, maybe 15 minutes before the end of your resistance training workout. Then at the end of your resistance training workout, sit, cool down for about 10 minutes, allow some of the blood to get into your stomach to digest the water, to digest the sodium a little bit, or at least get that process started, and then get back after the cardio. If you're trying to lose weight, fat, and you don't want the extra 100 calories of simple carbs, you can pass on that and just go full sit through, suck it up, and attack. You should be fine. Brips, what are your top forearm exercises? I'm really big on the wrist roller, and I thought I had one over there by my fridge. The wrist roller, you can get one of those little wrist rolly dealers on Amazon, and pretty cheap. You can keep it in your gym bag. You can take it to a commercial gym. You can pull it out of your locker. I mean, who's really going to give a rip, right? Put a 10-pound, 15-pound, 20 pounds of resistance on there and do the wrist roller. I find by doing this, really, really hits the forearm. And when you're doing the back and forth, you hit the top of the forearm, the bottom of the forearm. You really get a well-rounded workout. So I'm a big fan of that as a cornerstone. If above that you want to add in like forearm curls or whatever, just find a variation you can do. But I'm a big fan of the wrist roller. Ice cold, Tristan, good to see you. Glad you are here. Happy Friday, Team Massive. Glad to say I have had a great training week. Really happy to hear that. And also hit a new PR, 455 on the clean deadlift and 365 snatch pull. Wonderful, wonderful work. Those are big numbers. Those are juicy numbers. You should be proud of your accomplishments. So nice job there. That's definitely a good week. Mr. Logan, thanks for tuning in. Does eating rice really keep you fat? No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing because you see so many weird things in the fitness industry. Does eating rice really keep you fat if you only eat 500 calories? No. Most of my cutting, I alternate between rice and potatoes. It's all about daily intake. The only thing you're going to see when you increase your carbs on a given day is you're going to have some temporary water retention. That's not fat. So if you were like carb cycling, you would see your scale weight probably go up and down a little bit. That is just carbohydrate induced water fluctuation. It's not fat. So absolutely not. It's all about calorie intake. Lee said doing arms first. Okay, sorry, Lee, I didn't understand. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do arms first on an upper day. You always want to do arms second. You don't want to approach any of your compound movements or any of your big hitters with fatigued arms. It's probably not going to result in anything crazy, but it's just not a good practice. What exactly is junk volume? So junk volume, I mean, in the bigger picture, it is volume that just exists without focus. You have no progression approach, or you have a progression approach and you're not attacking the progression approach. Let's say you're going to do 3 sets of 10 on bench press with a specific weight. You decide to do straight sets, and you go in today and you're like, I don't feel up for it. Okay, fair. One workout you didn't feel up for trying to attack. You go in the next workout and you're like, feel up for it. And then you keep doing this for like 12 weeks and you never make an attempt to progress. Junk. Okay. Junk. Why is it junk? Because we need progressive overload in the mix. We need a progression of stress placed on the body. The body will acclimate very, very quickly to the demands of what you're doing. And if you never are pushing for more, don't think of progressive overload as a number specifically, but a mentality where you're trying to do more safely than last time, because sustainability of training is the most important thing. Does that make sense? So junk volume is just meaningless. It has no progression opportunity, or the progression opportunity isn't being applied, or there's no value when it comes to progressive overload or hard training. Duca, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Can you share your opinion on a lat machine like a low row? Yeah, that would be a good exercise. It's a good B tier exercise. B tier isn't bad. B tier is good. You have the big hitters, which are the A tier, and that would be a B tier. I have a rowing. I don't have a high to low row or a low to high row. I just have a horizontal rowing machine here. I have a T-bar station in my home gym. There's a lot of back equipment out there, but yeah, I think that's a good idea. If you should be doing at least a dumbbell or barbell row as a cornerstone of back development. And you probably want to add you know something where you can work your lats, like a cable station, or if you can do a low to high row or a high to low row where it's going to work your lats more. Absolutely. You want something to work your lats. That's probably going to be pretty costly, but you need to determine your budget. A cable station is definitely more budget friendly, and being able to do like a lat pull down or a V-bar lat pull down or something like that, and get a station like that for under $350 would be a big priority. If you want me to look at a specific piece of equipment, let me know. If you have a cable station for your lats, let me know. I mean, I don't want to spend your money. I'd like to know more information. Chris, perfect. 4 or 5 last warm-up. Yeah, if you hit that for a double, use that as your last warm-up set. Generally, you want to use something in powerlifting. There used to kind of be the thought that you would use something you could do for a triple as your opening set. If you're pretty comfortable with that double, I'd let it rip as your last warm-up for a single, and then I would go straight into the big boy weight. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear. Do you recommend belt squats? Absolutely. I got a lot of clients doing belt squats. They are a good tier exercise, a solid exercise. If you can do them, I would definitely add them into the mix, as long as they feel good for you. Love your stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Was that 275 bench? Been working up to sets of 10 at 225. Just tested and got up. That's wonderful. You know, that's a testament to just putting in your meat and potatoes volume and letting it do what it's going to do. You know, there's a lot of overcomplication in the lifting world. You know, if I tell somebody I'm going to do 5 by 10 on 225 on bench as a means to get my bench up, you're going to have a certain position of people that have become so overprogrammed of what they believe is optimal or effective that they're going to think it's junk. But there's a place in training for workman volume that just builds up your work capacity. So everything has a time and a place, and everything can fit in when it's reasonable. And you were working up 2 sets of 10, so there was progressive overload in the mix. And just that process, you know, if you were somebody that could do 2 sets of 8 with 225 on bench, and you set a goal of getting the 225 for 5 sets of 10, you're at 2 sets of 8. that process would explode your bench press. It's extremely simple, but that's the beautiful thing about lifting. If you take a plan like that, and this one specific, there's nothing magic in it, but if you take a plan like that and you just execute it and you stick with it and you attack and you move it up, you're going to see an incredible bump on your bench. So well done. 300 is right around the corner for you. Michael, the massive iron works. Thank you, Michael. Went from 172 to 214. Michael is legit, folks. Absolutely legit. At 5'10", his arms are up. Michael has added an inch to his calves. We've been watching. Michael trains his calves like most people train their chest and arms. Legit. Michael is one of the few people I've ever seen in my life that trains his calves like I wish people would train their calves if they're serious about calf growth. Does that make sense? All right. What do we got here? Ice cold Tristan. Hold on a second. Let's see. Does that make sense? I just want to go back to that for a second. Does that make sense about training calves? Because, like, there's so many people that when it comes to, training calves on the internet, you'll hear people that will discount, the ability to add mass to your calves. So if you guys ever want to see him in action, please join Team Massive. It doesn't cost you anything. We'd love to have you. Michael is super, super impressive. So, all right, where we go? Ice cold Tristan. Would you say that doing ramping sets of 5 on heavy pulls off the floor, we got to watch the word better. Anytime we introduce the word better, that's kind of a red flag. So I'm saying that in general before reading the rest of the statement. But anytime we see the word better, that's kind of a stumbling block. We have to be really, really careful. Would you say that doing ramping sets of 5 on heavy pulls off the floor is better than working up to a heavy weight and doing the same weight? No, there is no better. There is no better. You don't want to really train above 87.5% of your deadlift max. So it can give more than it takes. You don't want to do, it can take more than it gives, sorry. And you don't want to overwork the deadlift because it can take more than it gives. That doesn't mean you can't have seasons where you don't do a little bit more volume. Better is always trying a combination of both. So I'm not saying you need to do both, but when you are trying to build up a lift, what is better, one method or combining two and allowing them to work synergistically to help build that lift? Better is always going to be a combination of two. It doesn't mean we have to do a combination of 20, but if you are curious, let's say I want to build up my deadlift and I'm not sure if I should do high pulls or heavy pulls of ramping sets of 5, like 225 by 5, 275 by 5, 315 by 5, 365 by 5, 405 by 5, for example. A ramp structure of 5s on deadlifts. I'm not sure if that is better than just working up to a heavier set of 5 and then doing that for multiple reps. So when you come to that crossroads, better would be do both. If you're conflicted, do both. Okay? If you're conflicted, you are better off alternating A, B weeks. I see Mark Estrabio is in the mix. Mark, let me know if you want to join us on live. You're always welcome to join us. You do not have to join us, but if you want to join us, just say so and I'll send you the link. Also, I forgot to mention that I pulled 455 on a clean deadlift. I also did power cleans and front squats prior. That's pretty impressive. So nice work. That's what I like to hear. That's a testament to your hard training. I noticed my pressing strength overall has gone down rep wise. I've maintained a consistent rest and diet and training schedule. I do struggle with fatigue management. I would love to take a look under the hood because these are complicated scenarios. I need to look at your calorie consistency. I need to look at if you're bulking. Let's take a look at your sleep. Let's take a look at your stress. Let's take a look at your programming. It's hard for me to say in this context, but usually the press, more than any other lift, can be a little bit more volatile. So we need to make sure that we really have the rough edges filed off. We need to have calorie consistency. We need to have a moderate bulk. And we kind of need to do what we can to fix the sleep and stress when possible. Okay, let's see. Where were we? There we go. Do you think doing horizontal presses one day and vertical presses the other will put too much pressure? No, not at all. No, the body's not that fragile. Not even. You could do multiple horizontal presses one day and multiple verticals the next, and you'd be absolutely fine. The body is not that fragile. I've done that my whole life, and most of my clients do it. So it's very, very reasonable. The only thing you need to be aware of is, with what I am doing, do I notice anything negative? If so, then you need to make adjustments or evolve your training based on what is happening in the gym, if that makes sense. All right, guys, we're about an hour in. Keep the questions coming. I'll stay on as long as you guys have questions. A lot of good questions today, so I appreciate it. Evening workout right before bed with no post-workout meal, or early morning workout fasted with breakfast after. So the obvious question would be, what makes better sense logistically for you? If they are both even, I would opt for having breakfast after. Now, if you're going to work out in the morning, you know that your central nervous system is probably not going to be fully awake and aware. It's probably not going to be completely up to speed. So you might feel slightly weaker, but you'll adjust over time. If you're going to do an early morning workout, you want to have at least 8 to 10 ounces of water straight out of bed. Okay, boom. Because you're going to wake up, you're going to be a little bit low on water. You're going to be a little bit low on electrolytes. So getting straight out of bed, you want to have water and a little bit of sodium straight out of bed. And then doing that, you could train, head over to the gym. I'd probably consider about 100, 150 grams of fast digesting carbs straight out of bed as well, at least maybe half a banana or something like that. Bo, do you keep track of every lift as far as progressing? Every lift. If not, you're just putzing around in the gym. Every lift matters. And if a lift doesn't matter enough for you to concentrate on progression, then you have to ask yourself, why are you doing it? It's okay to have 1 or 2 lifts in a week that are putz around lifts, pet lifts, fun lifts. But still, if you're going to do them, let's do them for progressive overload. What is the point? Let's say you have a pet lift and you do it just for fun, but you decide you don't want to progressively overload it. Then why are you doing it, right? Fun should have a purpose. It should have an engine behind it. I would say that there are exceptions to every rule. Let's say you want to do farmer's carries and you want to kind of build up a baseline of strength or ability and then just stay in that lane. That's fine. That would be okay. Let's say you have a muscle group where, let's say traps, for example, if you go too heavy let's say traps, for example, you go too heavy, you pick up like a neck strain or whatever. So you might just stay at a certain weight. There's exceptions to every rule, right? But you should track everything. If not, you have to ask yourself what in the world you're doing. Oh, we already answered that one. Sorry. All right, Manimal. Whoops. Got a little bit ahead of myself. Thoughts on bent over barbell rows and dumbbell rows in the same back workout? You can definitely do it. I've done it before. A lot of times, what I do these days is I lead off with T-bar rows and then do a couple sets of dumbbell rows. Absolutely, you can do it. What I wouldn't do is do deadlifts, barbell rows, and then dumbbell rows. That would be pretty intense. In that scenario, I would alternate a little bit. Would you mind going over escalating sets, number of reps, number of sets, and how to go hard on each one? Like escalating bulldozer or ramping up sets? I just want to make sure we're on the same sheet of music so I don't waste your time. When you say escalating sets, do you mean escalating rest periods on the bulldozer or rest pause protocol, or do you mean ramping sets, like where you're ramping up in weight using the same rep range? Big Mark Estrabio. Mark is one of the few people in the industry that I respect. He is a conjugate guy. You should follow him. He has a lot of wonderful content, and I am a big fan of Mark's. Hope you're doing well. Sorry I can't stay for the whole thing. Big Bo. If I can do 225 for about 5 to 6, what would be a good weight to work? You mean for like working sets? I would consider doing like my threes protocol for starters. You start off with your first set around 225 for 5 or 6 reps. Then you drop weight 10% and do max safe reps. Drop weight another 10% and do max safe reps. So you do 225 for 5 by 6, drop down to do 205 for max safe reps, drop down to do 185 for max safe reps. All right, so JV chimed back in and said pyramiding. So you can pyramid up. Okay, so I like to pyramid up. There's many ways to pyramid up. You can pyramid up focusing on weight. You can pyramid up focusing on reps. So let's say you want to pyramid up focusing on weight. You could do 185, 225, 275, or whatever. Let's say you're on bench and you're going to pyramid up to a top set of 225. You could do 145, 165, 185, 205, 225. You could either max each one out for max safe reps, or you could hit a rep target like ramp. I'm going to do each one for 5, 145 by 5, 165 by 5, 185 by 5, 205 by 5, and then max reps on your last. Or you could have things at a starting point rep-wise, like I want to do 12, 10, 8, 6. So you could do 4 sets of ramping work based on rep ranges. So you start with something where you want to work about 12 reps with, and then 10 reps, and then 8 reps, and then 6 reps. And each week, what you're going to do is, let's say you did 145 by 11. Let's keep working that till we get to 12. Okay. And then when we get to 12, we'll add 5 pounds and then work back up until we get to 12. Let's say your next set is 165 and you want to hit 10 or 9 or whatever. Just stay in that lane until you do so. So many ways to do it. I could literally write a book on the many variations, but I hope that helps some. All right, where are we? My sleep is about 7 to 8 hours consistently good. I'm at maintenance. Maintenance is going to make it hard for your pressing. Now, I'm not saying there can't be seasons of maintenance, but maintenance is going to make it hard on your pressing. When you're in maintenance, pressing can be a little bit more volatile, a little bit more up or down. If you are serious about bench, you need to have consistent bulking cycles. I'm not trying to pressure anybody into a bulk, but that's the best way forward. You need to have consistent, focused bulking cycles to be in a calorie surplus. That's going to be the best way for your bench. Adding Peruvian beans to my diet. Don't have any idea what they are, but hey, if it works for you, let it rip. Is it normal to have minor muscle imbalances? Yeah, absolutely. 100% normal. Everybody has them. I've not met a lifter that doesn't have them. My right arm is a half-inch bigger than my left. My right quad's a half-inch bigger than my left. Everybody has them. I don't know anybody that doesn't. So it's 100% normal. Nothing you can do to fix them. I mean, you just do your normal training. They're going to stay there for your entire life unless you're extremely an outlier. Thoughts on, okay, we got that one. We did that one. Dropping regular deadlifts to save my floor. What we call riding them down. Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to do a hard negative or eccentric on a deadlift that's going to beat up your lower back. I'm going to say this is going to sound controversial or confrontational, but it's true. Any coach that tells you to do a slow eccentric on the deadlift doesn't train people for a living in the real world. If they do, they're really going to beat the living crap out of their trainees. If you have locked in form and bulletproof lower back strength, and you have been training the deadlift for quite a while, then you can do slightly more controlled eccentrics. For the average population, 99% of people, they should not be doing overly controlled, slow eccentrics on the deadlift. It will tear you up. This is not opinion. This is based on training people in the real world and knowing how impactful the deadlift can be on the lower back. Big Bow. If I can bench 225 for 5, what would be a good weight to ramp style all the way? Let's see. I do 225 all the way until I get the last set, or do I save the 225 for the last set? If you can do 225 for 5, if you're going to do a ramp, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to end with 225 by 5. You might pick up a minor degree of fatigue. What I would suggest is starting with 215 on your last set and just seeing where that goes, and then you can quickly progress from there. So I would do like 155, 175, 195, 215. Do max safe reps on 215. If you do 7 or 8, bump the weight 5 pounds. If you do 10, bump the weight 10 pounds, right? But you'll need a feeler workout to kind of get on track, if that makes sense. I saw you suggest the 3s for another guy's bench. Can you explain more in detail why you recommend it? Well, there's no magic about the 3s. It's just a good starting point. Number one, you're maximizing every set. So you're pushing every set to the limit. You get 3 sets or 3 opportunities to progress in any given workout. You're training hard. You're pushing sets for maximum safe reps. And doing the back down sets, when you move from a heavier weight to a lighter weight, it's going to feel lighter, especially from a central nervous system standpoint. And you're simply, mentally, you're going to get a boost. So if I do that big top set of like 225 for 5 or 6 and I drop down to 205, it's going to feel lighter and it's going to give you a nice mental boost. You bet. Appreciate it. And thank you as well for tuning in. All right. Last call for questions. We got a couple left. If not, I'm going to hop off. I'm going to give you guys just a second before I get to the final couple questions. Just a reminder, I have a $6.99 yearly coaching special over at Super Living the Day. Just click the coaching tab. You can also go over there and hit custom and get a custom workout for $39. I also have some really good apparel. You want some Massive Iron t-shirts, just go check it out. I have a wide variety. I only make a couple bucks off the t-shirts, so I'm not trying to be a t-shirt company, but please check that out. And if you don't want to do the full year of coaching, I just have the regular coaching service. All right, let's do the final questions here. Keep them coming. I'll stay on as long as you guys post up. Ian, do you need a lot of arm work for 17, 18-inch arms? Well, I've never really done excessive arm work. I've always done reasonable arm work. Programs are structured off your available time in gym that you have to work that week. So I teach a rule of 2/3. 2/3 of your weekly volume, whatever you have available, should be used for chest, back, delts, and quads, and the remaining 2/3 for legs and hamstrings. You have to work with your weekly volume. There's no generic answer for this because building 17 to 18-inch arms is going to require 10 years of hard training, maybe 5 years minimum if you're lucky. And your schedule is going to vary over time. So it's not about any magical number of sets. It's about progressive overload. It's about hard training. And it's about maximizing what you can in that season. Thoughts on Will Tennyson's bodybuilding debut? I've heard some talk about it, but I haven't had time to look at it. It's a busy week for me. I really honestly have no opinion. You guys would probably know more about it than I would. To train my forearms, I put a weight on one side of a dumbbell and move it around like a club. Whatever works for you, that's all good. As long as you're getting good value and you can progressively overload. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Big James Masson. Hey, Steve, I'm running a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, legs push-pull, and full body on Friday. Okay, legs, push, pull. Okay. My Friday is almost all barbell movements. Squat, overhead, bench, dead row. So you have rest in between your Wednesday and your Friday. You should be fine. As long as you're recovering, as long as the structure is good, you're fine. Programs always come down to looking at the totality of the program. Doesn't make sense. Is there any interference? Like, is anything you're doing on your pull day going to cause interference or fatigue when you do deadlifts or rows on Friday? On paper, it looks reasonable, but if you want me to look at the actual exercise selection, do not hesitate. Big James, thanks for all you do. Thank you for tuning in. I'm starting to train for my first marathon. I'm glad to hear it, but don't want to forget my lifting. With an upper lower 4 times or full body, this is going to come down to how much do you want to run. Okay. So at minimum, you probably need to run 3 days a week, like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and maybe or Saturday, and Saturday being your longer run. You could train 4 days a week. You could train 3 days a week, depending on recovery. If you want to run 4 days a week, I'd probably lift only 3. But if you need more information, just hit me up. I'd love to go through this a little bit more. I've decided for today that I did seated overhead in a bench press station with no back support. I've done that before. If you have the flexibility and it doesn't bother you, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it as long as it feels okay. All right, guys, that's it. Massive Iron Live is done. A lot of great questions today. I appreciate you guys being on. Please come back every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Don't hesitate to join Team Massive, the Discord group. Check out the link in yesterday's description box and head over to Facebook and join Massive Iron Over 30. You guys have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next week.
almost there. They're not almost there.